In episode 7, the main plot is Selena Gomez and Harper, and the side plot is Selena Gomez's twin brother and little brother. So let's start with the twin brother and the little brother because that's a simpler thing to explain. So their mom gets kind of annoyed with them and is like, "No, you're just going to go to the fucking lair. Go to the lair and think about what you've done." Um, so they go to the lair and they decide, "Hey, we're gonna instead of sending a prank phone call, we're gonna send a prank message in a magical bottle." So they say that they're like stranded on the lava sea and need to be rescued immediately. Um, and wizards get this bottle with the message in it and decide to start a rescue mission. So the wizard 911 folks are like, "Well, we're gonna come and rescue you." So twin brother and little brother panic because, oh shit, we thought this was just a prank, but we're gonna get in a lot of trouble. So they escape. They escape. They just leave the lair and go talk to their mom. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna go on the run for a little while. Can you go to grandma's house?" And she's like, "What did you do?" Turns out, yeah, they explained to her, and she's like, "Oh shit, yep, we're going to grandma's." They end up getting caught by the wizard cops, and the wizard cops are like, "How dare you do that?" Anyway, so that's the side plot. Meanwhile, Selena Gomez and Harper in the main plot get into their own shenanigans. So the class bully, whose name is, I'm going to say Gigi, decides to invite Harper to a party. Come to a party with me. Come on, let's come to this party. But so Gigi is throwing this party and is trying to convince Harper that she's now in with the in crowd. Well, Selena Gomez, to quote one of our esteemed founding fathers, says, "I smell a rat." So, so she ends up telling Harper, like, "Hey, you know that this is a trap, right? Like, this is obviously a trap." And Harper's like, "Oh, you silly Billy. It's not a trap. What are you talking about?" So Selena Gomez uses magic to overhear the conversation that Gigi has with her little clique. And she overhears, "Yeah, this is a party for who can invite the biggest loser, and you win a prize if you invite the biggest loser." Yeah, it's the plot of Dogfight. But Harper falls for it. She ends up taking it in and like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to this party with this cool crowd." So Selena Gomez tries to talk her out of it repeatedly, and Harper's like mad. It's full on Cassandra and the Trojans. Selena Gomez is like, "You know what? Okay, fine. I will go with you. Does that make you happy?" And Harper's like, "Yeah, of course it makes me happy. I'm glad that you accept me." So, long story short, they end up going to the party, and Selena Gomez is like, "Bro, they are trying to trick you." And so she uses a magic spell that's like, "Hey, make everyone tell the truth." And so eventually, the uh, the popular girls end up telling truths that they didn't intend to tell, like, "Haha, this party is to pick the biggest loser." And Harper gets her feelings hurt really badly, and then I don't know. It ends up with Selena Gomez winning because everybody hears the mean shit that these little girls are doing, and even Gigi's friends are mad because Gigi's a two-faced piece of shit. Piece of shit, I think, is the term that I'm trying to use. But yeah, it blows up in Gigi's face, and everybody ends up winning. They end up swinging from a chandelier. "I'm gonna swing from the chandelier." But yeah, it's like a fun time for everybody except for Gigi. In episode 8, Selena Gomez and her little brother decide to buy a dragon for their twin brother. Well, so it's a dragon that is disguised as a dog. So it's this salesperson comes and is explaining to them, "Hey, this is a dragon, but it's in a beagle costume so that it can exist in the Muggle world." And they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll give you a bajillion wizard coins, whatever their currency is called." But they buy this dog dragon thing, even though Twink Brother says that he does not want a dog because he had a terrible experience back as a child with a dog. So basically, what happened was Selena Gomez let the dog out and it escaped, and Twink Brother was like in love with this dog and was horribly crushed when the dog disappeared. Anyway, they get him this dragon. And they name the dog Dragon and keep referring to it as Dragon among Muggles. And it's like, "Why are you calling that dog Dragon?" "Oh, that's his name." Again, international statute of secrecy. But yeah, so they end up getting the dragon, and then the salesperson comes and steals the dragon in order to resell it because he's a scam artist. He's like Donald Trump. He is a con artist who has done this thing many, many, many times and just continues to get away with it. So he takes the dog and ends up going to a dog show. They follow him to the dog show, and they try to get the dog back. Like, "Hey, we had a binding contract." Why are children like Selena Gomez is like 14 at this point? Why is she allowed to enter into binding contracts? Like under U.S. law, normally this would not be enforceable, or at least would be revocable by the person, by the child who entered into the contract. But apparently this guy's been getting away with it for a very long time. Also, is selling dragons legal? How is this? I want to know. I want to read the fucking wizard legal code in order to figure out what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do, because it seems like selling dragons shouldn't be legal. And when this happens, to whom do you report it? Like, is there an agency in the wizard government where you report, hey, this con artist is selling a dragon? I don't know. This raises a whole lot more questions than it answers. But anyway, they end up going to this dog show. They trick the con artist into giving them their dog slash dragon back, and I guess that's the end of it. The dog is never mentioned again in the series, and I don't know. I don't know what happens with the dog, but they got the con artist, and probably should have learned a lesson. Hey, don't do that. But you know they never learn lessons. In episode 9, we return to the Chekhov's gun theme, where their dad teaches them a lesson at the very start that becomes very important to the episode. So in this lesson, he tells them in the wizard world, they take everything you say literally, which, spoiler alert, is going to be the problem in the episode. As I've said for many, many years, there really should be an industry for lawyers who specialize in curses, wishes, and prophecies, because people fuck this shit up all the time. See the monkey's paw. But this is probably the most important lesson they've ever learned. Like, watch what you say in your spells because it's going to come true. So, yeah, always do this for genies, for bringing cars to life, etc. It happens all the time in this show. This episode introduces us to Selena Gomez's twin brother's best friend, Zeke, who also is as nerdy as the twin brother and is another member of the Alien Language Club, which is like nerdy but pretty cool. But I think the actor ended up going into porn afterward and like got excommunicated from the cast or whatever. But another thing that happens is we introduce the theme in this episode that the twink really likes the weather girl on the local news, and this becomes a recurring thing. Like he talks about how much he's into the weather girl. So in this episode, he has a group of friends, and Selena Gomez decides to inject herself into his group of friends because like no boundaries. But she gets along very well with this particular friend that he has. And he is planning to go to a movie with his friend group from, I think it's from math class or the math club or some shit. But Selena Gomez is like, hey, can I tag along? And they're like, sure. So they're going to a movie that is called, wait for it, Night of the Halloween Sorority Party Disaster 2. That's the name of the movie. So they end up going there. It's rated R because it's a horror movie because, you know, sorority party disaster. But she and her twin brother get kicked out of the movie because they are not old enough, even though twin brothers' friends at school are. So the twin brother's friend is like, oh, well, you know, Selena Gomez, you can just hang out in the arcade room like twin brother always does. Which he just goes along with them to movies and hangs out in the arcade room alone. Awesome. But she decides, oh, no, I'm going to use a spell to get myself into this movie. So remember at the beginning when they said, hey, make sure that you watch your words because they take everything literally? Well, here she goes. So she makes up a spell that's like, put me into this movie. So she goes into the movie. She's like a character in the movie at this, like, as this murderer is trying to get them at the sorority party disaster. The murderer is like, is wearing a mask and carrying a blow dryer. That's the whole murderer thing. But everybody's terrified about it. She like has conversations with other people in the movie and makes them break character in the middle of this movie. Which like, what? This is just bad. Why would one of these actors break character just because Selena Gomez starts talking to them about, hey, what are we doing here? But anyway, long story short, Selena Gomez's twin brother figures out what has happened and he decides to put himself into the movie also to go rescue her because like he loves her. Yeah, the last lesson was that magic takes words literally. They didn't figure any of this out in advance. Selena Gomez is 14 but somehow passes herself off as being in this sorority. I don't get it. But yeah, they're afraid of the blow dryer. And apparently the blow dryer is cordless. I don't know how it works. Is it battery operated? Who knows? But that's the episode. Nothing happens to them. They're being chased by somebody with a blow dryer, and they end up escaping.